The sun shone brightly, casting a warm glow over my surroundings as I stepped out of the carriage. The majestic landscape of Wirral unfolded before my eyes. Countess Julia and Cedrica followed behind me. It looks like we're almost in Wirral, Your Majesty. I hope you're enjoying the quiet. It's nice, but it would be lovely to have Matilda and Laura with us. This place has a charm that's best when it's shared. I, for one, could use some time without the two of them. I'm sure they'll enjoy their time together. Laura may think differently. We laughed. I hadn't yet told them about my pregnancy. It was a secret I needed to keep in my back pocket. I did, however, tell them the meaning of this trip. I glanced at Viscount Langdale, noting the shadow that seemed to hover over his usually stoic features. Viscount Langdale, are you well? I apologize if the journey exhausted you.
I am well, Your Majesty. My duty to protect you remains my foremost concern.
Viscount Langdale, what has happened to Nadine?
In response to Countess Julia's question, a shadow passed over Viscount Langdale's face, his voice tinged with a mix of frustration and resignation. Well, are you familiar with Duke Liberty?
You mean the chief weasel of a Liberty family?
Yes, he's cunning and sly, always skulking around Nadine, using his wits and charm to weave his way into her favor. I've tried to warn her, but... His voice trailed off, revealing a depth of concern, and perhaps a hint of jealousy.
Viscount Langdale, you're of the utmost importance to Nadine. What could possibly make you think otherwise?
He is of a higher status, he is stable, and he has kind features.
You're way more handsome than Marquis Liberty, Viscount. You're also the leader of the supranational knights. There is no comparison. Viscount Langdale's expression suddenly became rigid. His innocent face disappeared, and the fierce expression of the knight commander instantly emerged. Is something wrong? I turned my head in the direction he was looking. The reason was easy to understand. It was Aldrich. He too had a stiff expression, as if he didn't expect to see me there. The knights behind Aldrich looked uncomfortable. The bright atmosphere suddenly seemed heavy. Aldrich and I looked at each other awkwardly for a moment, then carefully approached each other, as if someone had pushed us. We both occupied too high a position to pretend that we had not seen each other. Besides, this was a straight road. If I wanted to avoid him, I would have to pass through the bushes on either side. It would look like I was hiding. About 3 paces away, we stopped again. I greeted him politely, with the smile of a queen. Your Majesty, I received word of your baby's birth. We send our heartfelt congratulations.
Thank you.
Were you able to give her my gift?
You mean the decorative sword?
The meaning was to live effortlessly.
You gave it to Rose. You would have to ask her.
I nodded and looked in the direction I was heading. That was the direction from which Aldrich had appeared. I was undecided. Could I say goodbye and be on my way? Could I tell him to let me pass, that I had business to attend to? I could not. I was in exile, and although Wirral functioned as an autonomous region, it was still a Lasarian territory. Aldrich could have asked, what is an exiled person doing here? For some reason, though, he seemed to be trying to avoid that.
Stand aside.
Aldrich ordered his knights to stand back. Then I directed a look that expressed the same to the knights behind me. Viscount Langdale frowned, but said nothing. Lastly, I also asked Countess Julia and Cedrica to stand back. I could not ignore Aldrich. He was still the king of Elasaria. As soon as everyone walked away, Aldrich approached quietly.
I would have expected you would be living comfortably. You have lost much weight. Are you being treated well?
He was very upset. I could not tell him it was because I was pregnant and had lost my appetite. Before I could answer, Aldrich asked,
Did Henry do something to make you leave?
Of course he hasn't.
Bronwyn, please, will you reconsider?
I have told you no for the last time. Do not ask again.
I need you, Bronwyn. You have a home here whenever you want.
I said no. The silence was deafening. My parties had to have heard me.
You seem so proud of yourself. Are you proud that you have hurt me this much? You have gotten your revenge, Bronwyn. I cannot take any more of this.
Aldrich, There is nothing more to say on this matter. As I turned to walk away, Aldrich continued.
I know what he's doing.
What is who doing?
Henry. He is causing you to suffer. It is clear.
I laughed. Nothing could be further from the truth.
Put aside your pride, Bronwyn, for the love of God.
Aldrich, you are my ex-husband. This was your doing. You brought this on yourself. I did love you at one point. You made me cry in my chamber every night. I prayed that girl would go away or die, but she persisted. You let that parasite suck the love you had for me out of what used to be your kind heart. You're the one who cast me aside. You're the one who gave me permission to love again, and I have found love. I love Henry more than I have ever loved before. I should be thanking you.
Is this true? Do you love him more than you loved me?
I took a silent beat. I knew what I had just said had hurt him more than he had ever been hurt before. He had already been at his lowest, but he had never seen this level of despair. I could see his heart breaking through his eyes. We had to end this, and get on with our duties. Your Majesty, we are no longer married. From the moment we divorced, what happens in my life is no longer your concern.
Fine. But you should know I heard what happened between Henry and Catherine.
Those were merely rumors.
But you aren't sure about that. Am I right?
He knew me. Despite how I felt about Henry, Aldrich knew me on a deeper level. He knew that deep down, I wasn't sure. Please excuse me, Your Majesty, I must be going. Since he wouldn't let me go easily, I had to insist on leaving. Unfortunately, he followed me.
What brings you here?
As I said before, it's none of your business.
You are the Queen of the Celestial Isles, and you are in Elisaria. It is my business.
I stopped. When it came to stately matters, he knew I would abide. I am here to see Dean Edgar.
Why?
That is my business.
It is a secret.
Yes. His expression darkened. It scared me. Had I misspoken?
Are you involved in the phenomenon of majors declining?
Excuse me?
You really don't know. I'd advise you to be careful, Your Majesty, particularly around your king.
At this disparaging remark about King Henry, Viscount Langdale interrupted.
Your Majesty, shall we proceed?
Yes, Viscount Langdale. Let's continue. As I left Aldrich behind, a flurry of thoughts clouded my mind, his parting words echoing like distant thunder. There was something unsettling about the way he connected my visit to the Dean with a cautionary note about Henry. What did he know or suspect that I didn't? The Dean's office loomed ahead. The moment I laid eyes on the Dean, my heart sank. Gone was the familiar, jovial figure I remembered. In his place stood a man burdened with worries, his face etched with lines of concern. Striving to maintain a semblance of normalcy, I greeted him, trying to inject a bit of warmth into the tense atmosphere. Dean Edgar, apologies for the sudden visit.
It's no trouble, Your Majesty.
The Dean's response was subdued, a shadow of his usual enthusiasm. His slight bow was tinged with discomfort, a clear sign that my presence was less than welcome. The change in his demeanour was stark and unsettling. It was more than mere displeasure. It felt personal. Despite the Dean's evident distress, I chose to proceed as planned, masking my own growing unease. I presented him with a gift, a gesture of goodwill, hoping to bridge the gap that seemed to have formed between us. I have actually come to ask you for help.
For my help?
It involves magic.
Your Majesty, I apologize, but I can't help you right now.
His abrupt refusal cut through the air, leaving a chill in its wake. I had anticipated some reluctance, but this outright denial was unexpected. The Dean's distance felt like a rebuke, casting a shadow over our past cordiality. Is it because of my position in the Celestial Isles? The question hung between us, an unspoken accusation, yet I had to ask. If his coldness stemmed from my marriage, it would be a harsh judgment indeed.
Not at all, Your Majesty. Please don't misunderstand me. I welcomed Your Majesty's second marriage with open arms.
Relief washed over me briefly, only to be replaced by confusion. If not my marriage, then what had soured Dean Edgar's opinion of me? Then why, all of a sudden, can't you help me?
I am a mage and a citizen of Elisaria. Until the current suspicions are proven false, I must keep my distance from those in the Celestial Isles.
Was he implying that my newfound abilities as a mage were a threat to Elisaria? Did he already know? Suspicions? What suspicions?
I cannot say. Forgive me, Your Majesty.
Sitting alone, I found myself in the same restaurant where Henry and I once shared a meal. As distracted as I was, I felt a tug of nostalgia and ordered the same food that I had eaten with Henry. I awaited the comfort of the familiar dishes, mulling over the words of Aldrich and the Dean. Aldrich's countenance had darkened as he broached the topic of the declining sorcerer phenomenon. The Dean, the sorcerer of Elisaria, hinted at unsettling suspicions. What did these suspicions entail? Did they believe the Celestial Isles orchestrated the sorcerer's decline? It was an inevitable notion, yet Aldrich's sudden gravity and the Dean's frosty demeanour fueled my doubts. I looked at the meal before me and imagined Henry beside me. But just as I thought of my husband, a disturbing notion crept in. Could Henry be the malevolent force behind the sorcerer's decline, as the magic bed side effects suggested? A shiver ran down my spine. I pushed aside the gnawing doubts with a gulp of cold water. My appetite waned, and I stared at the food, watching it grow cold. A waiter stood before me, concerned. It's delicious, not to worry. I picked up a fork and managed a small bite of pudding, not wanting to reveal the contents of my mind to this waiter. The man handed me a recent pamphlet, which I thought was quite strange. With a forced smile, I thanked the employee, accepting the pamphlet as a diversion. Opening its pages, a headline concerning Rose caught my attention. Now it made sense why this waiter handed me the pamphlet. He must be an ally. It appears I was not the only one who had been given the news. At the table beside me, Countess Julia gasped. "Your Majesty, did you see this article?" "I just saw it." She leaned in with curiosity. "Oh my, what's this all about? I cannot stop reading it. Is there anything more delicious than a satisfying morsel of gossip about that wretched whore?" "Mind your tongue, Julia. Although you speak the truth, we are in public." As I delved into the article, Rose's alleged father took centre stage. The fact that a man claiming the title had surfaced was yet unknown to those of us from the Celestial Isles. It's intriguing, Your Majesty. That woman must have angered his scribe. He's casting suspicions from all directions. Indeed. The article targeted Rose's alleged father, hinting at his possible deception. Yet the scribe subtly managed to question Rose and suggested a test to unveil her true parentage. Good heavens! How can it taste so good? Several guests looked at us, and then back at their food, devouring it. They must have thought Juliet was raving about the quality of the food. I was happy that at least we would bring some more happy customers to the restaurant, if they thought the Celestial Royals were such big fans. I took a sip of water, and the gravity of the news washed over me, despite the lively voice of Julia behind me. I looked around and realized that the other patrons had caught on, and the restaurant was buzzing with discussions about Rose. Whispers ranged from accusations of falsehoods to skepticism about the scribe's motives. In the midst of contemplation, a singular question echoed. What is happening to Elisaria? Back in the Celestial Isles, I had to calm Henry, who approached me like an anxious puppy. The intensity of his worry could clearly be seen in his eyes. I shared the details of my troubling encounter with Aldrich and Dean Edgar. Henry listened, concern etched on his face. The implications is that the Celestial Isles is somehow responsible for the decline in sorcerers.
I would never do that. There seems to be a misunderstanding.
Well, regardless, I didn't receive any help developing my magical abilities.
I would visit the Dean again to ask for his help, but considering his displeasure, I sense I should refrain.
I gripped Henry's hand tightly, kissing the back of it. You wouldn't harm others with such lovely hands. Henry was momentarily speechless. I don't believe you would inflict suffering like Skylar endured.
My queen.
I'll consult Grand Duke Bjorn about my magical abilities. He completed the Academy's classes, so he should be a valuable resource for guidance. The unspoken topic of Rose lingered, unaddressed. Henry embraced me tightly without uttering a word, and I nuzzled into him, feeling the heaviness of sleep creeping towards me. Lying on Henry's chest, the worries of Wirral dissipated. Being by his side offered solace. The fragrance of his body enveloped me. Drained from the past few days, I fell asleep, caressing his muscles. Some hours later, I stirred and woke up with a pain in my stomach. Was something wrong with my child? I sat with the sensation for a moment and realized that, for the first time in days, I actually felt hungry. I ignored the late hour and turned to Henry to ask him to fetch me some of his delicious homemade bread. I was surprised to see he was absent. I got up and searched for him. I looked in his room first, but it was vacant. My stomach growled as I headed to his office. I found the door closed, but there were clearly people inside. I could hear muffled voices. I reached for the doorknob, and a thin layer of ice emerged from my hand. The knob froze, and the door opened almost noiselessly. I questioned my peculiar and unpredictable ability, relieved that my meeting with Bjorn was coming up soon. Through the slightly open door, Henry's soft voice reached my ears.
Henry had summoned Haxon into his office in the middle of the night, the weight of the hour hanging thick in the air.
We've got a problem.
Haxon, bitter about the untimely disturbance, questioned Henry with a touch of sarcasm. A problem at this ungodly hour?
It's related to the declining sorcerer phenomenon.
Well, that's nothing new. Why call me here in the dead of night?
The issue is with the magic necklace.
Ah, I see.
We're still not certain how big of a problem it is.
Understood. Shall I go check out the situation?
I don't know if it's a good idea to send you back there. We have not gotten to the bottom of whatever happened to you in Elisaria, and I fear you may fall under a spell if we send you unprepared. I need someone inconspicuous and cautious.
What about the crow? He is small and fast.
Fine. Send the crow. If he senses a threat due to that necklace, he must do whatever it takes to retrieve it.
Understood.
If retrieval is impossible, he must destroy it.
As you wish.
Henry concluded the matter, patting Haxon on the shoulder as he made for the door. But he hesitated, looking down at the doorknob. Haxon curiously approached.
What is it, Your Majesty?
Oh dear. Haxon's eyes followed Henry's gaze. He was shocked to see the doorknob had turned white, visibly frozen. Haxon recognized the sign of an ice sorcerer, sparking immediate panic.
An ice sorcerer? Is it Elisaria? Have they infiltrated a spy into the royal palace?
Henry, calm amid the chaos, laid a hand on the frozen doorknob, effortlessly removing the ice. No need to panic. The calmness in Henry's demeanor was in stark contrast to the icy disturbance in the room.
I snuck back into bed, and the words echoed in my mind. Crow, necklace, discovered. Regret gripped me. Why hadn't I confronted Henry when I had the chance? Why did I let the conversation end abruptly? Shouldn't I have walked in and demanded answers? Henry's cryptic words haunted me. Was he truly involved in the sorcerer-declined phenomenon? What did the necklace signify? If Henry was connected to such dark forces, what path lay ahead? Skylar's tears at her loss of magic flashed in my memory, intensifying my internal struggle. Suddenly, the door creaked open. Panic surged through me, and I closed my eyes, feigning sleep. Soft footsteps approached, and a familiar voice broke the silence.
Are you asleep?
His whisper, low and tender, sent shivers down my spine. Was I to be comforted, or afraid?
Sweet dreams.
A gentle kiss on my cheek, and he nestled beside me. I could feel the warmth of Henry's chest against my back, his breath on my neck. Wrapping me in his embrace, Henry drifted into slumber. As my heartbeat steadied, I placed my hand on his arm. Conflicted emotions swirling within me. Even if Henry was stealing sorcerer's magic, a part of me hesitated to blame him. A fierce rivalry with Elisaria fueled his competitive spirit. He was the king of the Celestial Isles, and a desire for supremacy was only natural. The Magical Academy, a melting pot of global talents, had a substantial Eastern Empire presence. Most graduates found their way to the East. My roots were there, my family, friends, and cherished memories. I pledged my love to both empires, but I couldn't let one crumble for the other. Henry, too, should understand the conflict brewing within me if he were tied to the sorcerer's decline. Though my mind comprehended, my heart grappled with resentment. I yearned for reassurance, a fervent wish that Henry remained untarnished by the shadows. I stirred from sleep to consciousness with a single thought. Hunger. Craving the texture of crusty baked bread, yesterday's surreal events lingered. But suddenly, Henry's soft voice punctuated the air, breaking my trance.
Did you wake up early?
He approached with a food trolley and presented me with a breakfast curated to indulge my whims.
My queen, I know you haven't been able to eat well lately. I made breakfast mainly thinking about the food you love.
An omelette, vegetable soup, and the greatly anticipated baked bread lay before me. Unable to resist, I tore into the bread, dipping it into the soup. My appetite, dormant for days, finally awakened. It's delicious.
It pains me to see my queen eat in such a hurry.
Isn't it normal to eat like this if it's delicious? I devoured everything, momentarily forgetting Henry's presence. What happened with Whitman? The question shifted the mood. A subtle unease crept in. The fear of hearing unsettling revelations about my homeland lingered. What did the king say? Since he came all this way, it seems he didn't want to go to war either.
The king says Whitman can allow us to use the port again. But before we can use it, he demands that we sign a treaty that the port will never be used as an excuse to invade them. Also, he wants the agreement to be certified by the Wall Alliance.
If we accede to their demands, will we be able to use the port as before? Will it make no difference?
That's right.
In that treaty, will there be any clause that allows us to fight back in case of danger?
Yes.
What are we going to do?
I must continue to ponder it. In his dim-lit study, old Duke Kerridge sat brooding over a book, his thoughts veiled. One of his subordinates, visibly uneasy, surveyed the room.
With all due respect, my lord, the rumours about Queen Bronwyn's fertility persist. Shouldn't we take a stance? We must define our position. Should we seek revenge or change allegiances?
Old Duke Kerridge, his eyes never leaving the book, spoke with authority.
The infertility rumour is likely a trap.
So the queen might not be infertile.
Perhaps it's more than that. She could already be pregnant, given her confidence in setting this trap.
But wasn't it Marquis Kerridge who started the rumour? And whenever the successor is discussed, the queen diverts the topic with a serious expression.
Bronwyn ruled Elasaria. Do you think she can't control her face? She is trained in the ways of queendom, which is to say, she is trained in the ways of deception. Those we need to be the most honest are often the most deceitful of all. They're sly, like foxes. She's up to something. I can feel it.
What should we do, my lord?
For now, nothing. We'll exercise caution.
But what if the rumours affect our standing? We can't remain passive forever.
We must choose our battles wisely. There's more at play here than meets the eye. We'll gather information discreetly and watch for subtle shifts in alliances. Only then will we act. Trust me, the time for action will come.
The tension in the room lingered as the conversation delved into the complexities of court intrigue. Old Duke Kerridge, torn between duty and paternal concerns, contemplated the delicate dance that lay ahead. The room echoed with the weight of impending decisions, and the shadows deepened, casting an ominous hue over the old Duke's study. Viscount Rothescue, determined to find Liliana as well as Rose's fake sister, searched the arid frontier. His quest led him to the Eternal Thousand Bandits. Through the notorious group, he discovered a lead on Rose's fake sister. This led him to the Raven's Refuge orphanage. Upon entering, he saw a large portrait of Queen Bronwyn on the wall. It was clear that her support meant everything to both the children and the director of the orphanage, to whom Rothescue now spoke.
Can you provide more details on the girl you're looking for? Physical traits, age range. Children's personalities change quickly, especially if they've faced hardship. We know little about her."
Viscount Rothescue, eyeing the portrait of Queen Bronwyn, continued the conversation.
"I've told you all I know. Queen Bronwyn supports this orphanage. Indeed, her generosity is unmatched."
The director continued leafing through his records, and suddenly stopped.
"Only 2 girls entered who fit your description. One left with her real parents. The other is our pride and joy, Skylar, who was accepted into the Magical Academy."
Viscount Rothescue, who had been pacing, suddenly stopped. The weight of the revelation settled in, and he turned back to the director. A spark of excitement lit up his eyes. Could this be the same Skylar Aldrich wanted to make his concubine? Rothescue wondered. He jumped up, unable to contain the surge of dark enthusiasm. He envisioned an ominous yet advantageous outcome.
"Tell me everything about Skylar. What's her story?" "Oh, Skylar arrived here after facing unfortunate circumstances. Her real parents couldn't care for her. She then became a cherished part of our orphanage. Queen Bronwyn's support has ensured that Skylar has a bright future ahead." "If this is true, it would be devastating for Rose. People would believe that the 2 daughters of the fallen noble family would both be claimed by the king, leaving Rose with a sense of impending darkness."
His excitement was tempered by caution. He recognized the treacherous nature of the situation. Later, in his study, Viscount Rothescue summoned the mercenary who he had previously introduced to Rose.
"There is a girl named Skylar in the Southern Palace. She is King Aldrich's potential concubine. Bring me some of her blood."
He handed the mercenary a small bottle, prepared beforehand to collect the essence of darkness. Over the next few days, Viscount Rothescue anxiously awaited the mercenary's return, navigating the shadows of uncertainty, and tried to focus on finding leads on Liliana. The aging Duke Kerridge of the Celestial Isles sat in a lavish carriage, pondering the necessity of visiting his estranged daughter, Catherine. There was a sense of urgency about their meeting, fueled by rumors of Queen Bronwyn's potential pregnancy, forcing a re-evaluation of his carefully laid plans. Memories of his last meeting with Catherine lingered, her eyes silently pleading for his intervention. Part of him regretted not doing more, but deep down he knew that even with his interference, Catherine's former glory would forever remain out of her grasp. Instead, he had sacrificed her for the potential of his grandson, leaving Catherine embittered. She departed for Compshire without sparing him a glance, her silence amplifying the weight of their strained relationship. The carriage halted before the imposing front gates of Catherine's estate, perplexing the Duke.
"Go a little further in."
Instead of cooperation, an argument erupted outside. Knights, acting as steadfast sentinels, obstructed the carriage's path. The Duke leaned out.
"What's going on?"
The coachman approached.
"Master, they insist that the carriage cannot enter."
"Did you let them know who I am?"
"Yes, but they still refused."
A knight, apologetic, stepped forward.
"My apologies, Duke. Catherine ordered not to let anyone in. I am her father."
"She instructed that no exceptions be made, not even for family. Catherine doesn't want to see anyone, not even her father."
The Duke's face turned stoic, his calm inquiry revealing deeper concerns.
"So, No one from the outside has seen Catherine.
The knight shrugged, leaving the Duke alone with his subordinate in the carriage.
Something's not right. It's strange. I can't imagine she wants to stay this quiet.
He turned to his subordinate.
Find me an agile mercenary.
Are you planning to infiltrate the premises?
This old body won't be able to avoid those knights. I need someone more capable to go in for me.
But Catherine doesn't want to see anyone.
I know. Isn't it strange? Catherine enjoys socializing. It's not normal for her to shut everyone out. I can understand her anger towards me, but it's not normal for her not to want to see anyone. Something is gravely wrong.
Old Duke Kerridge's mind raced as he sat in the confines of an inn, listening to the mercenary's report. The news of Catherine's confinement in the mansion was a blow that struck her father deeply, stirring up a storm of fury and disbelief.
All of the windows and doors in the mansion are blocked. There are some open windows, but they are situated too high and are so small that absolutely no one could get in through them. What? There is a small aperture at the bottom of the front door. It seems that food and drink are brought in through that space.
The Duke's face twisted in anger, his hands trembling with shock and rage. His every thought was consumed by the mercenary's account. The image of Catherine, once so vibrant and full of life, now trapped and isolated, was unbearable.
This must be Henry's doing. That damned king has imprisoned my daughter.
The old Duke continued to seethe long after the mercenary had left. He couldn't fathom how Catherine, a figure so full of promise and compassion, could be subjected to such a grim fate. The thought of the king's deceitful facade, using Catherine's exile as a mere cover-up for his scandal, filled him with unquenchable wrath. The clatter of a wine bottle shattering against the floor echoed through the room. The spilled wine flowed across the floor like a river of blood, a vivid symbol of his seething anger.
Henry, you will pay dearly for this.
With a resolve as sharp as the shards of glass on the floor, the Duke left Compshire and hastened back to the capital. His mind was racing with plans of retaliation, each thought darker than the last. Upon his return, the Duke's first action was to procure a certain food known as jesslin. This food, though delectable and nourishing, harbored a dark secret. It was harmful to unborn children, a fact well known amongst pregnant women. It included the same ingredient Aldrich's mother had accidentally given to Bronwyn, except with a much greater concentration. He spoke with his assistant.
You plan to give this to the Queen, knowing she's pregnant?
Not exactly. There will be a great prayer soon, organized by the king. This jesslin will be part of the offerings.
How do you know that she'll eat it?
She will have to partake in what is offered at the altar. It is tradition. Ensure that it's placed there.
The assistant's eyes widened in realization as the Duke's sinister intentions became clear.
As the great prayer loomed on the horizon, a sense of unease tugged at my heart. My role in the ceremony was straightforward enough, yet the thought of having to eat the offerings filled me with trepidation. In the Celestial Isles, the great prayer was a time-honored event, steeped in tradition. Despite the many recent changes in the Celestial Isles, the event retained its significance. There were 6 different foods to be tasted, each one an offering. My stomach churned at the thought. Lately, my appetite had become fickle, limited only to the meals Henry prepared with such love and care. The task seemed daunting, not so much for the eating itself, but for the weight of tradition and superstition that hung around it. An aide approached with further directions.
Your Majesty, it's important to sample each offering, but you needn't consume it all. Just enough to show respect and appreciation. However, be mindful not to spill any food. While not a grave offense, such an act is seen as an ill omen.
My mind raced with potential implications. Any misstep, even something as trivial as spilling the food, could be seen as a harbinger of bad luck. The superstitions of the people were deeply ingrained, and their belief in omens was unwavering. The dilemma I faced was not an easy one. The idea of revealing my pregnancy to avoid the great prayer was tempting, but the consequences of such a revelation weighed heavily on my mind. The strategy that Henry and I had devised to spread rumors of my infertility was proving to be remarkably effective. It had allowed us to assess the loyalties and intentions of the nobility with a clarity that was previously unattainable. Henry had been skillfully maneuvering to diminish the influence of those deemed high risk, either by denying them responsibilities or assigning them tasks destined for failure. Surely there wouldn't be anything served by keeping the news hidden now, I reassured myself, albeit with a tinge of uncertainty. It seems the time has come, I thought, a flood of emotions washing over me. Henry squeezed my hand reassuringly, his other hand resting protectively over mine on my belly. With a deep breath, I walked out with Henry, prepared to address the gathering. The revelation of my pregnancy was not just a statement of personal joy, but a declaration of a new chapter in the Celestial Isle's future.
Your Majesty, are you ready to begin?
I'd like to welcome a change to today's tradition, to mark a new beginning. It will be I who eats the offerings. The Western Empire has a duty to protect the coming prince or princess.
The priest, sensing the gravity of the moment, stepped back slightly, giving us the floor. All eyes were on us, waiting for confirmation of the unspoken truth that was slowly dawning on everyone present. As Henry revealed my pregnancy, a chorus of gasps and murmurs filled the hall. The nobles, initially confused by our actions, now looked on in a mix of astonishment and realization.
Who is pregnant?
Aldrich sat there, clutching his daughter in the nursery. The news of Bronwyn's pregnancy was so unexpected and so profound that he was shaken to his core. Baron Lant repeated the news.
The former queen, Bronwyn, is pregnant, Your Majesty.
No, that's impossible. She is unable to conceive. Whoever told you this is gravely mistaken.
Your Majesty, she, or should I say, they, revealed it personally in front of the nobles during a sacred event. She was showing.
Aldrich's eyes withered like a plant without any water. He had thought he had moved on, that he had put the past behind him, but this revelation made him drop to his knees. The painting, now up in the nursery, looked down upon him. Repainted, Bronwyn's eyes looked directly into Aldrich's. The future he was supposed to have flashed before him. A child in Bronwyn's belly, the happiness of Elasaria, the pristine image of royalty brought to ruins by his own making. A bitter realization hit him.
Was it me? Was I infertile this whole time?
With this question, Aldrich looked at the princess.
Please, no, it can't be. Oh God, no!
The atmosphere in the halls shifted palpably as the news of my pregnancy settled among the gathered nobles. Their whispers and murmurs filled the grand space, weaving reactions that ranged from joy to contemplation. As I turned around, the priest grabbed a bowl of food that had just been put in front of me.
Your Majesty, do not touch that food!
The priest moved with a sense of urgency, removing the bowl from the table. He inspected the food carefully, eventually blowing a light dusting of silver that sat on the top of the dish. Finally, he spoke, visibly relieved at averting a potential crisis.
This is Jesslyn. If it wasn't for the sunlight at this hour, I would have never caught the glint from the spice. God is looking upon you today, Your Majesties.
We must stop the celebration. You are not safe.
No, Henry, we must continue. We must remain here for the nobles. We will handle this after. Henry and I were both visibly shaken. Was this an attempt on our child? At that moment, Duke Carriage approached with a glass of wine.
My sincerest congratulations on this joyous announcement, Your Majesty, despite its unfairness.
Excuse me. What do you mean by unfair?
The Queen's pregnancy is a national celebration and our country's true hope, but it was kept secret from us for 2 months. Even we nobles didn't know that Your Majesty was pregnant, and we never ceased to be worried about the succession issue.
I maintained a composed smile. The notion that the secrecy of my pregnancy could be perceived as unfair was both ironic and telling. As his words lingered, I could sense the shift in the atmosphere among the other nobles. Those who had previously engaged in light-hearted conversations about the baby now turned their attention toward us. The revelation about my pregnancy, coupled with the Duke's insinuations, had evidently stirred a pot of concerns and conjectures. Henry, as he was used to doing, handled the old Duke with his charming smile.
On the contrary, Duke Carriage, we took precautions to be as careful with the succession as we could possibly be, despite being able to clearly see the snakes in the grass.
Duke Carriage flashed a sly smile. The threat was clear. This snake would stop at nothing to have his meal. That night, the dining room was abuzz with excitement and emotion, a whirlwind of reactions to the news of my pregnancy. Laura's emotions oscillated wildly. She was both upset about finding out so late, yet extremely joyful, a reflection of the close bond we shared. Her outbursts, though dramatic, were rooted in genuine care and happiness for me. So, first we have to prepare the baby's clothes. Or rather some toys. Oh, no. What's more important is the crib. What design would be ideal for the crib? The crib? I have just seen one that would look so nice in the nursery. What could a young lady who is not married know about that, Matilda? Leave it to me, Your Majesty. Cedrica, on the other hand, panicked, not sure how to handle my state. Your Majesty, is it all right for you to remain standing? You need to lie down, or rather sit down. In the midst of all this lively scene, my father's silent tears spoke volumes. He was so choked up with emotion that he was unable to articulate his feelings. It was a testament to his deep love and affection for me. My mother's gaze lingered briefly on my father and brother, a mixture of amusement and affection in her eyes. It was a subtle reminder of the diverse personalities within our family. My mother gently put her hand on my belly and stroked my hair. My dear daughter, I can't believe my little girl is going to be a mother. I hope to be exactly like you, Mother. Your father and I both love you so much, Bronwyn. You'll understand when you have your children. No matter how much they grow up, they will always be the most precious part of your heart.
After a joyous evening with Bronwyn and her family, Henry and Haxon convened in his office later that evening.
The Troby family and her ladies-in-waiting seem to be overjoyed.
Indeed, Your Majesty. They've been alternating between tears and laughter ever since the announcement.
Their happiness warms my heart.
Perhaps Your Majesty should join them in their celebration.
Under better circumstances, I would. But this matter with Duke Kerridge must be resolved immediately.
As you wish, Your Majesty.
At that moment, the entrance of old Duke Kerridge was announced.
You summoned me, Your Majesty? Indeed. I have something I must discuss with you.
The Duke looked up without a trace of emotion on his face. His attitude reflected that, whatever the reason Henry had summoned him for, he had nothing to fear.
I think you should see this.
Henry gestured, and Haxon handed a letter to the Duke.
What is this?
The Duke took the letter and opened it. Instantly, his expression tensed slightly.
What do you think it is?
This handwriting, it's clearly a forgery.
A forgery? Are you positive?
I have written no such letter, Your Majesty.
Henry watched the Duke with an amused expression, propping his chin on his hand. The Duke, trying to mask his fear, met Henry's gaze with a forced calmness.
It is hard to believe, Duke, that you would deny a letter written in your own hand. Does the letter not clearly state, "The Queen is pregnant, prepare Jesslyn and you will be rewarded handsomely"? Only a dash, any more will be noticeable by the priest. You are right about that. Is that not precisely what happened?
Do you really think if I had orchestrated such a plan, I would leave behind a letter as evidence?
That's what I don't understand. Why would you leave it? Surely a man of your experience knows the importance of destroying evidence.
Is this some sort of revenge for bringing up the infertility rumor? It's nonsense. The Queen is already with child.
It's a matter under investigation. A very serious one.
Henry rang a small bell on his desk, a signal for someone to bring in additional evidence. The Duke's mind raced with thoughts of his daughter's plight at the hands of this young, seemingly petulant king. The door clicked open, marking the next phase of Henry's calculated confrontation.
What the hell does this mean?
Take a look. This is the library's record of borrowed books. Quite an intriguing read.
What does it have to do with me?
It's about the books your grandson has been perusing lately. Let's see.
Henry's fingers flipped through the pages until he halted midway. He read aloud, each title echoing in the tense atmosphere of the room.
Foods harmful to pregnant women. Toxic substances undetectable in food.
What exactly are you implying?
Just highlighting the interests of the young Marquise. One does wonder about such curious academic pursuits, don't you think?
The revelation visibly shook the Duke. The implications were dire, and the carefully woven threads of Henry's trap were apparent. The Duke's anger and fear were palpable in the silent room. As Henry watched him, the subtle smile never left his face.
Food that can be harmful, medications to be careful with, what a pregnant woman should not eat. Heavens, your grandson has a unique taste in books, don't you think?
The color drained from old Duke Kerridge's face.
You think this list implicates me?
It raises questions, wouldn't you agree?
Duke Kerridge understood the precarious position he was in. Accused falsely or not, his response would dictate the fate of his family, especially his daughter, Catherine.
Duke, is this letter truly a forgery? And does your grandson's curiosity go beyond mere academic pursuits?
Henry's tone was light, almost casual, but his eyes bore into the Duke, demanding an answer. The Duke, a master of high society games, now faced an adversary who played by different rules, a king who wore a smile while weaving a web of ruthless schemes.
Your Majesty is truly ruthless.
I'm ruthless?
Henry's voice was calm, betraying no emotion, as he fixed his gaze on the old Duke.
This is a mere high society squabble, yet you threaten lives over it. How can you be so callous?
It's not about being callous. It's about securing the future of our empire.
That letter. It wasn't written by me.
A shame indeed.
You forced me to choose between my daughter and my dignity. You call that justice?
With a nonchalant gesture, Henry pushed a statue off his desk. It crashed to the floor, shattering into pieces, mirroring the old Duke's crumbling resolve.
You're playing a dangerous game, Your Majesty.
All games of power are dangerous, but they are necessary. Remember, every action has its consequence.
The Duke clenched his jaw, his heart racing with rage and fear. He realized that this young king was far more dangerous than he had ever imagined. Henry's ability to turn the tables and manipulate situations was a trait that the Duke had underestimated. As the fragments of the shattered statue lay on the floor, so too did the Duke's illusions about the true nature of his power. Haxon cracked open the door. Your Majesty, Queen Bronwyn has just arrived outside, with Viscount Langdale behind her.
Is His Majesty inside?
His Majesty is quite busy at the moment, Your Majesty. Is there anything I can do?
Haxon was interrupted as a man swiftly exited through the office door. It was Catherine's father, the man who yesterday lashed out at us in public for hiding the fact that I was pregnant, in an attempt to rally the contempt of the nobles. He looked at me, fixated on the baby clothes I held in my hand, then quickly brushed past me. Had Henry not wanted me to be involved?
We need to reinforce your guard for the time being, Your Majesty.
Yes, I believe that is wise.
Your Majesty!
Henry approached quickly, inquiring about the baby clothes, quickly changing the topic.
Viscount Rothescue was near the entrance to the Western Palace when he heard a familiar voice coming from behind the bushes. He was shocked to see Rose rocking back and forth slowly, hushing the child in her arms to sleep.
Rose? What are you doing here? This is no place for the Queen. Are you... well?
Rose ignored his comments. Upon a closer look, this was not her baby. It was a doll.
I have to be gentle. For my baby. I won't hurt her. I would never.
Rose, you're holding a doll, not a baby. Do you...
I need to be ready. I can't drop her again.
Rose, you're not making sense.
I will be a good mother. I am a good mother. You see this. You know this.
I don't know what has become of you. I have come only to tell you I have found the daughter of your false parents you asked me to find. In exchange, I ask, do you have information about the whereabouts of my daughter?
Rose began to laugh. Her demeanor changed. It was frightening, as if she wasn't herself.
You come to me about some worthless couple's missing daughter when you can't even find your own.
How dare you?
Rose dropped the doll and turned around with a grin.
This is because of you. All of this is because of you. I no longer have my children because of you, so I have returned the favor.
What? Liliana disappeared because of you? Have you gone mad?
If you have nothing of value for me, then you are trespassing. Shall I call the guards?
No, wait. The girl. She is most likely the real daughter of your false parents.
What girl?
Skylar.
Skylar?
Yes, Skylar, the mage.
No, it can't be. You're lying to torment me, aren't you? How convenient for you finding her so quickly when her parents searched in vain for years.
Maybe they looked in the wrong places, or maybe they didn't look hard enough. I don't know, but what I'm telling you is based on solid information.
It's all lies. It has to be. It cannot be true that that girl is the real daughter. You're making a joke out of me. You will pay.
This is true, Rose. If you want me to get further confirmation, I will need money. It's expensive work. And don't forget about Alan and your son. They need your support too.
At the mention of her child, she snapped back into her daze. She glanced back down at the doll. Then Rose took off her jeweled bracelet and handed it to him. Her movements were automatic. The Viscount took the bracelet and backed away as Rose scooped the doll back in her arms.
Shh. It's okay. Mummy's right here.
As Viscount Rothescue turned away, Rose's murmurs filled the air behind him. The Viscount couldn't help but shiver, wondering if Rose had truly lost her grip on reality.